Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Wörter podcast. Today we have a special guest.
Yes, please introduce yourself again.
Hi, you guys. It's me again. It's Sam from Sammysreviews. I'm very excited for this video. Really.
All right, because today we are going to talk, especially for Halloween, I guess, about disturbing movie clips. I guess that's the theme of the video. So, Sam, why don't you just start out with your first clip? And we are going to actually show probably most of the clips. So, yes, tell Tom, our technical, I don't know what even to call him, what he's supposed to type in, or you are going to show that stuff on your screen. Sure.
Yeah.
I already forgot about the entire plan and so on.
It's okay. Okay, so you guys, my choices are basically not based on how gory the scenes are, but like how impactful some of the scenes were on my childhood and my brain developing. Some of these scenes stuck and the imagery stuck and kind of gave me nightmares. So these scenes are based on this. Okay, so the first scene I'm gonna go with is from a classic movie. It's something that I think disturbed everyone growing up, which is A Clockwork Orange. This movie is literally about violence, and it has a lot of imagery that's disturbing, especially that I saw it at a really young age. And one scene that really sticks out because of how graphic and how claustrophobic it feels is this scene. Let me show you. For context, I'm someone who's a bit sensitive with body stuff. And in this scene, there's a machine inside the main character's eyes, and this thing it gives me the ick. Okay, I'm opening the scene exactly because I wrote the scene down. Ugh, okay, I'm gonna just 1, 2, 3. There you go. I just started. Okay. Oh my god, it's too real.
Yes, it is real.
And in this scene, it just feels too ugh.
And I've heard that Kubrick told Malcolm McDowell that it would be a really short shoot because the doctor they had on set told him to make a really short shooting for the scene, and then they shot for, I don't know, half an hour or something like that. You know, Kubrick and so on. He is a pretty sadistic as a director, but yeah. What I was interested.
True.
What I wanted to ask you is, how old were you when you first watched Clockwork Orange?
Well, first time I ever saw it, I was about 12. I saw it on TV, and then and that really messed up my brain. And then I resaw it again by 15, again by 18, and last year. This scene still gets me every single time. It's too disturbing. And he's shouting that's a sin, that's a sin, it's a sin, and it's in the worst the vocals and how the guy is kind of rehydrating his eyes just because he can't blink. It's so disgusting.
Yes, I think that's the actual doctor in the scene. And he had to do this because otherwise it would be pretty unhealthy and so on. But this movie actually really turned me on to Ludwig van and so on. Before that, I always called him Beethoven, like a prude. But of course, everybody who's cool calls Beethoven Ludwig van because it's so much fun. Yeah, and it's all because of that movie.
My number one disturbing scene is every joke Philipp has ever made on the podcast.
Okay, that's my scene. I'm gonna stop it right here.
Nice.
Excited to see yours.
Okay, Tom, do you have a scene for us, or should I continue? I don't know.
whatever you prefer.
Yeah, my first scene would probably, maybe we should do the Benny's video murder scene. Maybe that's cool. That's on YouTube. Yeah, just Benny's video murder. Spoiler alert, there happens a murder in yeah, just that one, yeah. Okay, so we are
Okay.
right away.
I'll scare fuck.
Tom is
I
already
share my
scared.
screen for you.
Tom is
I just can't see it.
yeah.
And I can't see your video. I think
So
your video is turned off.
Now I think you should see it.
Can you see now something, anything? Oh damn, that's a great
Wait.
shot that I made with my smartphone. The people can see the reflection of the screen in Tom's glasses, so we don't actually have to have another screen recording because you can see everything through Tom's glasses.
The thing is, I can't see your video. Your video is turned off for some reason.
But do you see the screen
Oh,
share?
okay, I can see it now. Okay, there you go.
Okay. So this is the scene.
So, okay, what we are seeing here is a scene from a Michael Haneke movie. I think we all love him, except Tom. And we see a teenage boy from Austria doing what every teenage boy in Austria is doing while growing up, which is murdering someone for no reason. Yeah, and I think it's quite fitting that we have this scene because we have a pretty similar shot with the Clockwork Orange clip, just that we saw Sam's screen and a disturbing scene is taking place on screen. And Michael Haneke is doing the same thing here. And the really disturbing...
Exactly.
Yes, and the disturbing part is taking place on like the sound level. So maybe we should put on the sound. I don't know. You just hear this girl screaming. Benny is reloading this gun that his father used to slaughter a pig and so on. And yes, it's supposed to show the complete detachment that media perception creates, basically, I think. And what's so disturbing is that the murder is
Тихо, я сказал.
completely... okay, I think you can put out the sound. This is really irritating. Yeah, what's so great about this scene or so disturbing is that there is no psychological explanation anyways for the violence, and it actually, there never is one, I think, in Haneke's movies. Haneke is actually against psychological explanations, and so, yes, they just meet in this room, they talk a little bit, and then Benny just slaughters her. And later we see that he films himself naked, like tasting her blood and shit like that. And you have, for the entire movie, no fucking clue why the heck he is doing this stuff. But it seems so realistic. You can understand why he's doing it, but you don't you cannot put it in words. But you understand it on some super abstract level. And especially on my list, we are going to return to Haneke, and I can then talk a little bit more about this. Tom is already frustrated because Haneke, and so on. Never mind, let's go to the next scene, Tom. Or, I don't know, does anybody have something to say about this? And Tom, you can already, I think, type in your scene.
I think that Michael Haneke, the choice that you made is amazing, especially because Michael Haneke in general is someone who's really interested in the idea of violence and how, like, if you watch too much violent scenes in general, this has a direct impact on the way you behave and the way you think, and I love that.
Yes, Tom is showing us a scene from the movie Targets, from the year 1968, from the director Bogdanovich, I don't know. Yes, Tom, what are we going to see here?
Yes, so I picked this scene next because it's also similar in the sense that we never really get a reason why this guy is killing his family and a bunch of other people. So this film is about this typical American atomic family. They're all happy, they're all white and straight and whatever. And one day, this was already the whole scene I want to show. One day this guy just decides to shoot his whole family for no apparent reason. And then he goes out to the highway and shoots a lot of people, kind of mirroring the Kennedy assassinations and so on. And then he goes to a drive-in theater and kills a bunch of people there. And yeah, I think it's so disturbing exactly for the reason that we never find out what drove him to do that. Yeah, we don't know even his political stances or anything. Usually with the killing like that, the film would probably try to do some extreme political statement or whatever. This film is almost apolitical in a sense. I mean, I've mentioned the Kennedy thing and the image of suburban America or whatever, so you can read into that, but the film doesn't explicitly talk about it. And yeah, that I find really terrifying, the killing without a reason, basically.
Yeah, I also like this avant-garde choice of putting a number down there on the screen whenever he kills someone. That's pretty crazy for the 60s, I think.
That's of course not in the
True.
film.
Yeah, all right. Are there any further thoughts? I mean, I love the movie too and so on. You should all check it out. I got this movie on DVD as a Christmas present, and then we watched it with the entire family on Christmas. That was really awesome.
What? Like some warm vibes.
Oh yeah, and this shot right here is also really disturbing, where we see this little kid crying in his car, and then the camera pans to the right, and we see his dad has been shot. This is also a terrifying image and really cool.
Tom, you're already cheating.
I'm
This is
sorry.
already the next scene.
I mean, I only have 4 on my list anyway, so.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. All right, so then Sam, I think it's your turn again.
Okay, so next up, my next movie is a movie that I believe that this is literally the scariest movie I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's everything about the movie. It's the physicality, it's the mental images, it's about like the psychological aspect of it. Every single thing about this movie, it's something I never recommend to anyone. And it's something that I talk about a lot. It's I Saw the Devil. Okay, so I'm
I
choosing the exact
have
scene.
to say, I
think this
didn't
is the
see the
glorious
devil,
scene
so.
on my list.
Tom hasn't seen the devil, but that's all he wanted to say. Let's go.
Okay. So I'm choosing the exact scene. Every single thing about this movie is horrible. Honestly. Oh my god, I'm just gonna start with the scene. Sorry, you guys. It starts here. So, context. Basically, this movie follows a serial killer. And again, like you guys said in the past 2 videos, there is no real explanation why this guy is the way he is. He's just messed up. And what gives me the ick about this scene is how casual he is. He just followed a random girl and decides to kill her for no apparent reason. And the way he does it so casually, just, smoking and like walking in his like raincoat and as if nothing is happening. And in this scene, he's thinking that, which part of her should he start with and all of that, while she is in her weakest point and she looks at him and then she informs him that she's pregnant, as if that's gonna, kind of move anything in him. When in reality, like, I'm gonna let you see what happens when he tells her, because I want you to see it live.
Okay, I mean, I have to say that I have seen this movie and I really love it too. But I think it's actually pretty cool as far as I can remember it. Like, there are some pretty badass like action and fight scenes and so on. So Yeah, I probably don't think that it's that disturbing, simply because of that, because it's just a little too cool for me to think it's like one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen. But that's, of course, a personal, I don't know, understanding of it. But I still love it because of that also.
Well, I know where you come from. It's just the way why it's so disturbing for me is because the main character, not that dude, her husband actually, was a totally normal guy. He goes to his job, he comes back from his job, he has a girlfriend, his girlfriend is like pregnant and everything is cool. And then suddenly something so horrible and so coincidental, like the guy doesn't have a personal vendetta with the other guy, but something horrible happens to him and he turns into a monster. And what's disturbing about that is every single person has the ability to turn into a heartless monster if given the certain circumstances, and if you're triggered in the right way, if you know what I mean. That's it.
Absolutely, yes, and I agree completely. And of course, this movie is like super disturbing. Absolutely, I wouldn't disagree with that. And yes, a very disturbing, uncomfortable scene, of course. So, all right, who's next? Me, I think. Okay, Tom, this is a super short clip from a movie we have already talked about in our last video that we like created together.
She-Wolf of London.
No, Three Women, Tom. Three Women, and I want to show a scene versus Fat Man. No, 1977. Although fat people are also disturbing. Joking, I'm joking. And there's a scene where like a witch is laughing. That's like it. Maybe just the witch. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Damn.
Professional as always.
Here it is. There you see the small witch down there. Okay, so let's click that one. It's like 30 seconds only. Sound. Put the sound on.
I'm gonna go put on some music.
Okay, and now we are going to listen to a witch spitting on Sissy's basic. And now we hear this.
Oh my god!
Huh? Why is it not continuing? No. No. I wanted... fuck. Never mind. Now the third woman is coming in while this witch is continuing to laugh with this super strange, weird, fake laughter. And of course, this scene has a payoff later in the movie when Sissy Spacek herself, in a sense, becomes like the witch. And yeah, here we see the third woman of the title basically coming in, and she's underlaid with the laughter of this witch, and I don't know why it freaked me out so much. It's in a sense something really schizophrenic, I think, in a Deleuze-Guattarian kind of way, for those of our listeners who have read maybe Anti-Oedipus, Capitalism and Schizophrenia Part 1 and so on. There, those two philosophers, French philosophers, Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari, are talking about not schizophrenia in a sense of that you have to have like a diagnosis of schizophrenia, but a schizophrenic sort of position or way to think. And schizophrenia manifests in like a hyper connectivity between different elements. So you see someone on television talking directly into the camera and saying, this is about you, and blah, blah, blah. And someone without schizophrenia realizes that he is not meant as a person directly, right, normally, but someone with schizophrenia might think, okay, this person in the television is really meaning me specifically as a person in as a private person, as a private individual, and so on. And I think that in this sense, art might also have an intrinsically schizophrenic aspect, in the sense that what's great about this scene is that you start to connect this third woman, this character, with an evil witch, because image and sound imply that connection. And I have like a tendency to get into movies that have this schizophrenic style, like a David Lynch movie and so on, where you make in the entire time you're making crazy connections because the movie implies those connections with image and sound. And I think that's sort of disturbing because it gives me a better understanding of psychosis and so on. I mean, I never was really psychotic or anything like that, but I don't know. I had crazy experiences with drugs and so on, so I can sort of understand it. So yes, that's it. Tom, it's your turn.
It's my turn.
It's your turn. Fuck you.
Okay, I'm going with the ending of the film Freaks from 1932, directed by Todd Browning. After he did Dracula, he had the leverage basically to make whatever movie he wanted. I'm gonna skip a little bit. And he made this basically drama about a bunch of circus artists who have all or most of them some kind of bodily deformity, and yeah, the only two quote unquote normal people, the strong man and the beautiful what's the words, aerobics whatever woman, they have this plot to kill one of the other artists, and yeah, this is the scene where the titular freaks take the revenge. And this is already a pretty scary scene, like the only scary scene basically. But what I'm interested in is the very ending of the film, where yes, this beautiful woman is running away from the freaks, and we never see what exactly they're doing, but we see the result in exactly this shot where people are talking about the incident, and then they show what the freaks did to her in just a second.
Yes, I mean, then I'm going to use the opportunity to say something about this. I think that's a pretty great shot and a great ending, and we see this chicken-esque transformation that's in a sense pretty Berg-esque, and yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, I agree. I think body horror in general is pretty disturbing, and this is one of the earliest and also most absurd and interesting, I think, depictions of that theme. What do you think, Sam?
I haven't seen that movie, but I agree with you. Like, I think that body horror is like one of the most disturbing types of horror because it's so, like you can feel it kind of. And at the same time, yeah, this is like one of the very first movies to do that. And the idea of like basing your movie in a freak show, in a circus, that gives opportunities to see like some pretty weird and disturbing imageries in general. So I love that. That looks great.
And another thing I want to mention is that this film was and still is to an extent pretty controversial because the director actually casted people with the disabilities portrayed in the movie, so there were no special effects or anything. So except for this final shot, obviously, but just the fact that you've seen this entire movie with those real bodily deformities or whatever, and then you have this final shot, you just for a second somewhat believe that this could be real, and I think this adds another layer of disturbance. Yes.
Great. So I think it's already your turn again.
There we go. Okay. So next up on my list is okay. So another movie that I saw at an early age, and this one really messed up with my mind because it is body horror, and at the same time it's just the tempo of the movie and the tone of it never slows down. It keeps on like accelerating and like heightening more and more and more until it reaches a point where you kind of go numb with like how you feel. And this is Martyr. I hate that movie. I've only seen it twice, and yesterday when I was like choosing my scenes and stuff, I was too scared to watch this one. It's horrible. And I'm gonna go with like the ending scene. I'm sorry if you haven't seen it. Have you guys seen
We
it?
have seen it, and I think we have a sort
Okay,
of.
that's great.
All right, let's show the scene.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it. Oh my god. Okay, so after like context wise, this is the main character in like she's cooked, literally. She's grilled. So there we go. I hate that scene. I hate every single thing about it. How she's like kind of skinned. She's literally skinned. She has no skin now. And how people are looking at her as if she's an object or like, I'm not even gonna say an animal. She's an object. They don't think she feels anything. And the way like it's so claustrophobic because her soul is inside of that thing. But she has lost the ability to become anything. She can't talk or do anything, and it's horrible. I think this is the worst point any person can ever reach. Oh my god. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go back to the scene. It was... Oh, this one. In this scene, this exact shot, and how you as a viewer know that somewhere inside these eyes and this like creature is human and her soul is inside it. Oh my god, I hate that scene. That shit freaked me out. That's it.
All right. I think
It's about the context.
yes, I think it is super disturbing, and it's obviously a super fucked up movie and so on. But I think Tom and we both have a sort of unpopular opinion about it because it is hailed as this horror masterpiece. And I only agree to an extent with that, I think, because the entire concept, maybe we should just spoil what the concept is. You sort of only find out at the end of the movie.
Let's go.
I don't care. Let's go. It's basically about this organization, and they try to torture people to figure out some transcendental truth about life and death and so on from the experiences that torture victims have. And that the thing is that this entire idea is sort of ridiculous because what exactly is the goal there? It's such a gigantic project that probably costs like millions, and at the end of the movie you see all of these super rich guys and women and so on, and they are all like super excited. Yes, we did this project, but what exactly are trying to get out of this? I mean, it stays unclear at the end what this tortured woman said, but it really doesn't seem to matter what she said, because anyways it wouldn't be like, it would just, why would you imagine that someone who gets tortured doesn't just has a sort of hallucination and so on? Like, why would you take that seriously at all? Do you know what I mean? Like, if she told this old woman at the ending, unicorns are real and shit, and I have seen, I don't know, hobbits and stuff like that, is that then the answer that they would just accept about those super philosophical questions and so on? So I think that's the problem, that it's like sort of ridiculous that they take this so seriously. Yeah, it's just not really a sound philosophical or scientific discovery at all. This entire project is incredibly stupid, and I think that would even make it more disturbing if the movie would show that, in a sense. Like, if the movie would show that those people are just completely crazy and they don't know what they are doing, that they, in a sense, have are not sophisticated philosophically or scientifically at all, but that they have an unconscious drive to torture people and they are justifying it with this philosophy and so on. I think that would be super disturbing. But this movie is not really doing it. Or maybe it is doing it and it's just too subtle and I didn't get it. That could also be the case. I've only seen it once. What do you think about it, Yuka?
Okay, sorry. Go on.
No, I'm finished. I wanted to ask you what you think about this. Yeah.
Okay, so like, I think the movie talks about the idea of how human nature in general tends to do whatever they want with the natural drive that they have, which is tendency to be violent. And this is what a lot of cults and a lot of religion and a lot of like beliefs rely on. Like, some people do things for their like beliefs and do things in a cult that doesn't make any sense, and that kind of, if you are like a person that doesn't believe in this stuff and you're an outsider, you're gonna feel like none of this makes any sense. Why are people doing this? Why are they going for this extreme? And this is exactly what the movie is doing. Like, you are a third person as a viewer. You see people believing in something that you believe that, what the heck is this? None of this make any sense. And just because someone is in a weaker spot, they get to feed on her and kind of ruin her life as an experiment, because they believe there is like a totally like bigger image and a bigger something to believe in. And honestly, every single one of us have like a belief that just, there's no real proof and materialistic proof that you can just hold and feel like this is what it's gonna give you. But it's the way that you act upon it, and the way that if a lot of people act upon it, now we're like forming a cult, we believe in something, and if there's money that we can like pay because there's like super rich, and there's a reason all of the people that are revealed at the end are super rich, because being super rich, you kind of lose the ability to get excited about anything because you can buy anything, everything is kind of easy for you. So you start obsessing over the idea of the things that you can't buy, which is the afterlife, aging, and like how to control that. So this is exactly what they're doing. There are people with too much money. There are older people who is just like, they have spent all the money that they want doing everything that's exciting. And now they're kind of getting too old and they want to think, let's make a project where people have near-death experiences this close to like the afterlife, and like, let's see what happens. And this is the most disturbing thing about this movie. It's honestly like, it's crazy, because I believe people are capable of doing this. And no, I believe somewhere in the world people are doing this.
Yes, thanks a lot. I like the movie a lot more now because of your explanation, because I sort of didn't get those implications from the first time that I watched that movie all that much, but I can appreciate it more now. So thanks for that. And I don't know who's next. Tom is next. What?
You are next.
Okay. Never mind then. Let's type into YouTube. I'm also going with body horror right now with a movie called Rubber's Lover. Right, Tom, with an Ü. Yeah, that's like the full movie. Okay, now I don't even know where the scene is that I want to show, but the entire movie is just like a bad acid trip. It's about scientists who capture people and torture them. It's pretty much like Martyrs in a sense, only completely materialistic. There's nothing transcendent really about this. It's like a mixture between Martyrs, Eraserhead, and a cyberpunk movie. It's on YouTube in full length, and I don't know, just shows something. It's about being tortured with sound, and they have people being
It is basically
we have people being forced to inject crazy drugs, being transformed into a new type of being and shit. We have here people tortured with sound. I hope we're going to see this in a second there. And yes, this movie is basically also trying to torture you as a viewer with the images and the sounds that you are presented with. We see the eyes of the main character here being filmed, and you see how he's flipping out inside of a machine. And it's very Japanese, right? It's just Japan. In the way that Michael Haneke depicts Austria, this movie by Fukui is depicting Japan, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's the entire movie is like that. It's like one gigantic scene in the cellar of these mad scientists torturing people, transforming them into cyborgs and so on. It's a complete nightmare. It is very Eraserhead, just on, I don't know, amphetamines, like way faster, more aggressive, super punk rock. And it's like Tetsuo the Iron Man is probably the most famous Japanese cyberpunk movie.
Yes, I've seen that one.
Yeah, and this guy, the director of this movie, Fukui, worked on Tetsuo the Iron Man. He was like an assistant or something like that. And he also directed another famous movie called, with the greatest movie title of all time, which is, of course, The Square Root of 964, Pinocchio.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty whacked out director. I follow him on Instagram. I think you should all do the same. His name is Fukui something. Check out his movies. I think Pinocchio is also on YouTube. Yeah, that's it.
That's gorgeous. I love that one. And I do believe the imagery looks so similar to Eraserhead, and like it's so, like, I don't know, feels like kind of, I don't, like it's a home video type of movie. It's just filmed in a basement, and oh my god, I love that.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say what's so disturbing about this for me, Tom, you can already type in your movie and so on, is that you see this person transformed into something that's no longer human, right? And he's transformed into the cyborg through these torture methods that mostly function through sounds and drugs, and that's what the movie is also doing with you. It's trying to take away your humanity and transform you into something different, and that's a super disturbing concept. And this movie is really exploring this by breaking the fourth wall and so on, and explaining to an extent in a very abstract way that they are like using this movie to experiment on you. That's, I think, pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds really
That's
cool.
amazing. I love that.
I haven't seen it. My next scene.
I love the music also. We have, when the director Ruggero Deodato died, Tom and we are like in an experimental punk rock band called Genetically Manipulated Flies. And when the director died, we made like a tribute song for him with some random guy from Turkey who was a friend of my dad actually. And he came here and he sang, we featured him in our song. Let's put the song in. You know what, that's my next scene, because this is truly horrifying.
That's amazing. Show me.
Yeah, this is going to be truly awful. Because you hear this guy singing and we all play with like electronic instruments and he sings like twice as loud as we with our instruments. So
He is also wearing this pig cap for no apparent reason.
yeah, he's dressed up like a pig. He just had that with him. He had like this pig hat with him for some reason. He's a teacher in Turkey.
What? That sounds like a dream. That's like hallucinations.
That I'm not wearing the headphones that are connected to the laptop.
Oh my god.
That's enough. That's enough.
Oh my god, that's a moment.
Yeah. You know what?
This is insane. I love that.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Whatever. Okay, so I think that was your pick. So I think you're next if you have nothing more to say about this. By the way, have you seen Cannibal Holocaust? That's already always an interesting question for me.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I haven't. But I've seen a disturbing scene from it.
yes.
It was like in a compilation video or something, and I didn't know where that was from. But when I saw what you like showed us, I understood. Okay, that's insane.
Yeah, that movie I think is pretty crazy. There are like real animal slaughters and so on, and it's quite hard to watch actually. But anyways.
Okay, so my next scene is from a pretty beloved horror movie. It's not that old. And again, for me, it's mostly about the context of the movie. It's Under the Skin. I love this movie. I think it's very, very. How do I put it? It's a journey. You start off with a creature that you don't understand what kind of creature is this and what kind of purpose does she have, and then throughout the movie you kind of understand that she's on a mission to kind of feed on people. Later on, you kind of understand that there is somewhere in her where she clicks with humanity and she starts to understand what is a human and what makes people like different from each other. And the way the director directed this movie and kind of makes you feel how the main character is feeling, how he's kind of portraying every single aspect that makes humans different from each other and give them the quality that they have. Like everyone has like a certain laugh, everyone has a certain way that they talk, they have nuances, you know. So the main character kind of falls in love with the idea of being human and looks at humans in a completely different light from the beginning of the movie, where she's just on a mission and she wants to like destroy all human beings that are like, that's what she's ordered. And then by the end of the movie, after she has already reached the peak of understanding what is it like to be human, every single thing crumbles down. Because as much as humans are capable of, you know, good things or like cute things, the way they laugh, the way they blush and stuff like that, they're also capable of horrible things. And I'm gonna leave you with this scene and then come back to let you know what I think of it. It's exactly at 1:38:50. Okay. Yeah. This is like the worst moment in the movie because she is met with one of the evil people in general, and this is where she feels like she was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that she's kind of how do I put it? She's just, you know, she just feels like humans are not what she thought of. And this is what's happening. Okay, let me show you the scene. She was literally assaulted and raped in the worst way possible. And in this moment, this is the first time you see her the way that she's intended to be. She completely takes off her skin. And how she looks like a normal alien, and how like we have always envisioned aliens in general. You can see her face that she has no feelings, but you can understand that this is the first time she feels hurt like psychologically and physically, but I mean in a mental way, because she doesn't have soul the way that we believe in souls. And she's looking at Scarlett Johansson, like the skin that she was wearing. This is such a disturbing image, and it feels out of nature, and that's beautiful. I love this movie. And how the guy comes in and he doesn't even leave her to. He just looks at her in a way that's just so objectifying. He sets her up on fire. And this is what is it like to trust humans in general.
Running through the woods on
It's
flames.
so heartbreaking.
That's really a good metaphor, yeah.
Yeah, but I have to say, yes, I think this movie is a masterpiece. We just have to say it as bluntly as that. Tom, have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Tom. It's by Jonathan Glazer, that guy who recently directed Zone of Interest and so on. We watched that one in cinema. And yes, it was great. Jonathan Glazer is truly a great director. And yes, I would like to hang out with him sometimes and talk about humanity and shit.
Yeah, I agree. That's amazing. And also throughout the movie, the way that she... I know, Tom, that you haven't seen it. I'm just going to say something real quick. But the way that she consumes people, how it's portrayed on the screen is magnificent. And as a human, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you feel like you own the world. You know, you are strong, you have like everything that you have, you're excited. And then I remember that scene and how you can be nothing in 1 second. You can just explode in a second. And this shit is insane. It makes you feel like it's kind of a humbling experience. You kind of feel like you are nothing. Your body, your soul, your money, your dreams, every single thing that you kind of rely on that makes you who you are is void. It's nothing. It's not something you can hold.
It's true. Thousands of people spontaneously combust each year.
That's also a quote from a movie, from which movie? Is that from Repo Man?
No, it's from Spinal Tap.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Philipp, it's your next clip.
Okay, you know what? Just go to effed up movies and type in the seventh continent. We are back to Haneke. I promised to come back to this guy. And yes, I hope that I will find this scene. It's a very short scene, so don't worry. It's not graphic at all. But this has to be one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen anywhere. And yes, we already have it. The next scene. Okay, so that's the scene before the scene that I want to talk about. Now the mother is of course going to punch her child and so on. That's maybe a little bit too much, but the editing is so incredible in the movie with those like black screens. And now we see the scariest scene and shot, I think, in film history. And the next shot is for me the scariest thing I've ever seen because it abstracts what's terrifying. And it's this shot. This is what's terrifying in general in an abstract way. And that's the entire scene. How crazy do you have to be as a director to shoot such a scene that's like 20 seconds long and you just see a woman staring out the window, a shot outside of the window, and she sees, in a sense, what we see every day. Also, maybe sees nothing, but it's the question like, what is she seeing? And of course, the movie ends like super disturbing with her and her entire family like committing suicide, spoiler alert, and so on and so on. Tom thought that when he watched the movie the first time, like the first 45 minutes was like really boring because before we like figure out that their plan is to commit suicide and so on. But for me, when I watched this movie the first time, I got in completely blind. I didn't know what this movie was leading to, but I was like on the edge of my seat for the entire movie, even though nothing happens for like 45 minutes. And we only have scenes like this with a woman staring out of a window and nothing is happening. But you know that something is deeply wrong about everything. It's almost like there's some type of evil vibe or something like that maybe in them or outside of them, somewhere in the image, but you can't really see it. But Haneke always points to it. And every shot in this movie is sort of an explanation for the suicide that we see at the end. So the question is, what is she seeing outside of her window? Is she seeing a street? Is she reflecting about her past? Is she thinking about some abstract philosophical things? Is that the moment where she first thought about committing suicide, maybe in her life? Where she made the conclusion that she's going to go through with this plan and stuff like this. And we are forced to reflect about this, even though at that point we don't even know what the heck is going to happen in the last act of the movie. But yes, I don't know, I think it's one of the most perfect films ever made, as Ari Aster said in an interview or something. And yes, because it is so creepy and frightening and so horrific, even though nothing is happening. And yes, this shot of the street is for me the most abstract and pure image of fear, terror, depression that you cannot really put into words, or maybe cannot even put into an image. And yes, I think that's just frightening. And it works because of the black screen that begins and ends every scene. Yes, I don't know what else to say about this. I think you would have to watch the entire movie to get that, but it left a deep impression on me, and I talked about this single shot on numerous occasions, on other podcasts and so on. I always bring it up. It's the most pure vision of something, and I don't even know what it is. What do you think?
If you're asking me, I think you're giving the film a bit too much credit. I'm not sure, because if the film really worked like that so well, it probably should have worked on me as well when I watched it, which it didn't. I mean, in retrospect, when you've seen the full movie and then go back to the clip, okay, I guess I can kind of see what you're pointing to, but you described it yourself as like vibes and like this abstract concept of terror or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can say that this is actually conveyed in this image. You can say that this is the effect it has on you or whatever, and that's fine. But to me, it didn't.
When I watched it the first time, I was already shitting my pants when I saw this image, even though I didn't know what this movie was about.
Should I close the curtains so you don't actually shit your pants when you look out the window accidentally?
Too late. No.
Well, I have to agree with Philip, honestly, because this movie, there's like a sense of, the first time I saw it, I didn't know what was it about. I just felt there's something wrong. I don't know what is it. I feel like this movie is kind of rotten in a way. It's like people rotting away. And by the end of the movie, when you understand that basically what's happening in this movie is a family that decided that every single one of them is gonna die so soon, and now you understand the burden of like a group depression in a way. And even though a little kid will not understand these types of feeling, but kids absorb the emotions around them, and you can feel like this just a little girl, she looks dead. She looks dead. There's something mentally ill in her. And I love that you chose this scene, because I thought you would be choosing the ending scene, but I'm glad you chose this one. It added perspective for me. But the ending scene as well, how it's basically a painting. How like a family, a father and a mother and a kid, they are like the three of them sitting on a sofa, nothing in their eyes, they're completely dead. They look horrible. They have like blue undertones in their skin. They're looking at a TV that's just some random shit is in there. And it's kind of Haneke's idea of what media does to us, and how it's kind of it makes us rot away. The more you consume media while being not conscious with what you're seeing. You're unaware. You're just consuming. You're not filtering out. This is how you look like. You look like someone who's brain damaged. So yeah, definitely, it's a weird movie. The first time I saw it, most of the movie, I was wondering what the heck is happening. What are we watching? I don't understand. Who are these people? Why are they so lifeless? What's happening? And then I understand by the end.
Yeah, but I completely agree. What I also have to add, maybe if I would have to put it in like one single sentence, what's so disturbing conceptually about the whole movie is that maybe this is another Austrian thing and so on, but I think we can all still understand where this family is coming from, and we all know, I think, situations where there is a complete disconnect between people and you can't really explain why. And you can get in situations where you have more and more of those disconnected encounters. Let's put it like this. But also, it's not like this misery porn thing. Like, we have scenes where the mother is going to the child, to the bedroom, and is asking the child, "Are you happy? How do you feel today?" and so on. Then she's asking the child, "Do you love me?" "Yes, of course." Then they hug, and the mother wants to go away, and the child takes her back, wants to hug her a little longer, and the mother goes back into the hug and so on, and stays with the child for as long as the child wants. And so it's not that we are seeing those super depressed people that are just sad all the time, so we understand why they commit suicide at the end, because there's a psychological explanation. Haneke is not really giving us that psychological explanation, in the sense this is a completely stereotypical upper-class family, and still we, in a sense, understand on an emotional level why they commit suicide at the end. Like, this entire movie feels, as you've said, rotten and horrible, and we can't really point out why. And we also see ourselves, I think, in those lives. And that's like the most horrific thing about it, that you, in a sense, live maybe a very similar life to the lives that those people are living, and you can see yourself in every single scene, and at the end they are committing suicide, and you get, in a sense, why they are doing this, but there's no difference between that and your life. So the implications of that are like super horrific. And yeah, but Haneke says that it's an optimistic film in a sense, because the true pessimists in cinema are the ones who only want to make money and so on, and he's a humanist and wants to help people and stuff. I think that's great.
I love what you said. That's amazing. I agree. So, the most horrific thing about this movie is how similar and your life is to the main characters, and that there is no actual real problem, quote unquote real. What real means, they didn't lose anyone, they're not like being attacked or anything. The problem, it's a generational problem. It's like something that everyone is feeling disconnected. Families are like kind of broken down, and although some people may believe that this types of problems are not like, this is not like real problems, but in reality, these types of problems can cause mental illness and things like depression, that you can like go down the spiral. Like, honestly, you can almost like not get out of it, just like how the main characters did.
Sure, yes. All right, I think, who's next?
I'm next, but I also wanted to say, just so it doesn't seem like, oh, it's another big art house film that Thomas doesn't like. I do like this film. I think it's great. I just wouldn't single out this specific scene to show the feeling that this film conveys. But I do agree that it adds all up in the end and whatever. So yeah. My next scene is, of course, I can't go a podcast episode without talking about this film.
Also, I wanted to say, Haneke thinks, of course, that the most disturbing shot is when the money gets flashed down the toilet.
Okay, so Venetiano, whatever this is, this one's on you. Next time you have to pay. Same goes for Sukant.
Auszeit.
Those cards.
Ganz.
Yeah. Okay. So I talk about this movie quite a bit in this podcast because I still think it's Mother from Darren Aronofsky. And in this scene, so for a bit of context, probably the happiest scene in this film is when pretty early on Jennifer Lawrence's character finds out that she's pregnant, and yeah, her husband, who's a poet, is like super happy and it all seems well. And then later, after we see like an hour of nightmare scenarios, she gives birth and falls asleep and wakes up without her baby. And this whole crowd that is formed in her house for unrelated reasons or related reasons, they take the baby away, basically worshiping it, like it's the Messiah of the Middle East or whatever. So they baptize it as kids, and then, of course, they break its neck. They all act very sad at first, which is another disturbing detail for me. And then they just start to eat its flesh, like in a ritualistic sense. And this bald guy is talking some pretentious nonsense. But yeah, it's really disturbing. And Jennifer Lawrence, in my opinion, gives a fantastic performance. She really looks like, her heart is absolutely.
You hear that? That's the sound of life. The sound of
definitely, or probably my top 3 baby killing scenes, just after the Gospel according to St. Matthew and Der müde Tod. So if I had to make a top 3 baby killing scenes list, this would be my top 3 probably.
I'm glad you have a list of that.
Yeah, that's going to be the next video. But I think The Gospel According to St. Matthew by Pier Paolo Pasolini is, I think, the funniest one, maybe of all time, even funnier than the one from Brain Dead. I don't know if the baby actually dies there. But very shortly, because you've already brought this Pasolini film up, I have to tell the story really shortly. Okay. We watched this movie together with a bunch of old people in like a church, because they showed that there for some reason.
The Pasolini film, just to be clear, not Mother.
Not Mother, the Pasolini film about like Jesus, and there's like a scene where a bunch of babies get like slaughtered and so on. And Pasolini filmed this in a way where they have like baby puppets and the soldiers are throwing them around like this, and we have a shot of someone throwing this baby puppet, and then the camera pans with the puppet, and another guy is standing there with a sword and like hits the baby puppet away like a baseball. And when we watched this, we both started laughing really loud, and all these old people were like incredibly horrified and pissed at us, but we couldn't stop. Yeah. No, but Mother is great, I think.
What the heck?
I like Mother, and I think, it's disturbing. Good job.
Okay, that was amazing. Okay, so about Mother, actually last time we made the podcast, you mentioned Mother, and I was like, I kind of don't remember the movie, I want to rewatch it. So I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, and I was surprised how good it stood, because when I saw it the first time, for some reason, I remember liking it, but like fine, 7 out of 10. But then when I rewatched it, I was like, that's incredible. That's a 10 out of 10 movie. First of all, I'm not a huge Jennifer Lawrence fan in general. I just feel like when given the right circumstances with the right director, she can perform. But like the rest of her filmography, she's just, not doing well. Specifically with her last rom-com. I don't even remember its name. But anyway, so in Mother, this is her best performance. Specifically that there was a lot asked of her. Literally, she has to be a mother in this specific scene, for example. A mother, imagine these directions were given to you. I'm a mother, your kid is taken away from you. You just gave birth, your kid is taken away from you. People are like tearing him apart and eating his flesh. This is insane. And this type of agony and pain that you cannot stomach, she can give off these vibes with her face. I loved that. specifically because also I usually watch this movie back to back with Rosemary's Baby. I just feel like it's a combo. And the first time I saw Rosemary's Baby and I saw the baby, I saw the devil and stuff like that, it was disturbing as shit. I felt like this is crazy. Because you usually don't associate the idea of a baby with a devil, and when you see both of them like merging together, that's kind of insane. And in Mother, there's a lot of like spiritual and religious imageries inside of it, and it's a really layered movie. I love that. So thank you for making me rewatch it very, very a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. I also really, really love this film. Yeah, and I don't think I've seen any other Jennifer Lawrence films, at least not conscientiously. So yeah, I can't really comment on that.
Yeah, same with me. And also I think that Rosemary's Baby would be a really awesome sitcom, like The Big Bang Theory or something, just with Satanists instead of like physicists. But it could work. Okay, let's go to the next movie.
Okay, so have you guys seen The Substance?
No.
I've recently seen it. I thought it was really campy, really silly, but also yeah, pretty entertaining. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so my next scene is not gonna be about The Substance, but I did see The Substance a couple of days ago, and it has some body horror stuff in a very good way. Yes, it can be. It's borderline like ridiculous it's walking between the edge of like that's a horror movie or like a satirical horror movie, and so yeah, you should definitely see it. And I'm glad you have seen it because it has like the vibes that we're going for in this video. Okay. My next movie is something that's like pretty new movie. It's Hereditary. I love this movie in general. I've seen this movie in cinema, and it was the worst experience of my life. It was a horrible cinematic experience because I said this before, but for some reason, teenagers love to go into horror movies and like ruin it for everyone in here. So I went to a cinema, and there was like a teenage group, and they were kind of celebrating someone's birthday in the movie. Inside the movie.
Happy birthday,
So
Tommy.
there was like literally a kid.
No, this is a joke because we have a friend
What did
who
you-
also always talks during movies and stuff.
He's just making an insider joke for someone who is never going to watch this video.
Okay, I hate that. I remember I was so angry. I'm a pretty chill person. If I'm watching a movie, I can kind of dissociate people around me from what I'm seeing, but I was so triggered. Honestly, I swear to God, I've never reached that point of anger inside a cinema. I went out to the guards and I told them like, what the hell is happening? There's like a dead ass birthday inside. There's like candles and a cake and like people wearing like the own thing. I was like, what is this? But anyway, I did book the next like screening, and I watched it, and it was insane. I love Hereditary in general. This is one of the best horror movies in my eyes, and again, it's the context for me. So basically, the scene I'm gonna be showing you is at the very end, and the idea that a pretty normal family, a family that has nothing to do with like witchcraft and magic and like all of this stuff and Satan like stuff, they just realized that somewhere along the line, one of their relative, which is the grandma or the main character's mother, has been doing some weird stuff, and their entire life is like flipped upside down. And how relatable this idea is scares me. Imagine like waking up, you think you know your mother, you think you know your father, you think you know your like everyone around you, but there's a layer that you cannot see. And this is insane. How like they woke up, every single thing makes sense, and it's a piece of a puzzle that's bigger than them. And the scene where like there's two scenes I'm gonna be showing you. Let me like show you. But like it's about like the idea of ignorance is bliss. How sometimes you don't understand something, but once you understand it, it's the worst thing ever. First of all, okay, so this is the scene. Context-wise, his sister, the main character's sister, is allergic to nuts or peanut or something. She eats a chocolate that has nuts, and she's having a literal like problems with breathing. So he has to speed the car to reach the point, and she's not breathing, so she puts her head outside of the car so she can breathe, and the worst thing happens in ever in life. And just the choice of the actress and how she's giving off weird vibes, and how this scene is so realistic and so random. Like it's too random. Oh my god. Ugh, I hate the scene. I hate the scene. And with sound command, it's horrible. When you listen to it and how like her bones are cracking, it gives me like chills, honestly. So this is the first scene. It's horrible. But the second scene, and I'm going to be talking about them at the end, is an hour and 50. Okay, so yeah, at this point in the movie, every single thing is crumbled down. They know that there's something that they don't understand. They know that they are a part of a bigger puzzle piece. And the main character, his mother, is nowhere to be found. She just saw the corpse of her mother. She, in a very accidental way, she burns her husband alive, and this is her second attempt of murder, because she, in a way or in another, she was the reason her kid died, because she's the one who forced her brother to take the girl. The main character, which is like literally this is the worst moment of his life. He's the reason his sister is killed, his father is burned alive, and there's the corpse of his grandmother, and that's his mother on the ceiling. I remember this scene the first time I saw it at the cinema. It was like nerve-wracking, because you start hearing a weird sound. It's like a sound that's repetitive of something, like someone chopping off a piece of a wood or something. And then he's like seeing weird stuff. It's like a group of people like fulfilling their prophecy in the weirdest and stupidest and ugliest way possible. And here the voice keeps being repeated. I love that scene. At this point, his mother is insane. And then the scene keeps going. You start hearing the same sound again. He starts to feel like there's something. Up until this point, after everything he saw, he still doesn't feel like there's something incredibly wrong. Okay, so I think that's the scene. I'm gonna put the sound on. It's that sound. It's horrible.
I don't think
Oh
we
my-
can hear the
oh
sound,
my God.
unfortunately.
I will just blend the sound in, or Tom will imitate it with his mouth.
Probably.
It's like,
Mm.
I hate that. I hate that. Toni Collette was brilliant. And then you hear the sound of the head. And like there's like naked people.
And there's nothing
I
more
love that
scary
scene.
than naked people.
I love every. I agree.
Yes. What a great scene, or two scenes. And I think you honestly see maybe a little bit the Haneke influence even with the death of the child, because I think that's something super typical as a scene, as an idea for someone like Haneke. It really does feel a little too real for such a supernatural movie and so on. And I think what's so scary about it is, you know, the guilt complex that has to come with a thing like that. And I think what was truly horrifying about this entire incident is when he comes home with the car and he just gets into bed and waits for his parents to find the body of her sister and so on. And the camera stays with him on his face as he waits. That's great. That's great filmmaking. Yeah, Ari Aster, shout out, and we are expecting great things from you also in the future. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can say with Hereditary, it's kind of similar, like the situation you described with Mother, in that I have seen it, but it was years ago, and even though I remember liking it quite a bit, I haven't had the chance to rewatch it yet, so maybe after this podcast I'll have to watch it again.
Okay, I think if it
Should definitely do that.
if it's my turn now, I would come to my last scene, which is on YouTube, and it's from the movie Safe from the year 1995 from Todd Haynes. And
Oh wow, what a good story.
yeah, and I wanted to include, I mean, I love, how is it called? Like Lovecraftian horror. And I think that's like one of my super crazy understandings of cinema, in a sense, that if you have a great psychological horror movie that puts you into the universe, into the mind of a disturbed character, then you basically have cosmic horror, because you see the universe of this person. And yeah, why don't just show this scene? And yeah, it's just a woman freaking
Well, we
out.
haven't really talked lately. How you doing?
Maybe we don't even need the sound at the moment. So what you're seeing already is a super freaky and disturbing shot here that's basically sort of like a liminal space or a Lynchian shot with this sort of strange empty space at the side of the screen and so on, this fake lighting that is sort of sitcom looking. Like, this movie is from the 90s, but it looks super 80s, of course, and it's very similar to The Seventh Continent in the sense that there's also like it's some type of an evil force that's somewhere in the image. And here we see the exactly same thing as in the scene from The Seventh Continent. This is the shot out of the window in The Seventh Continent, and then we see the reaction of the woman. Just imagine this has the same function, I think, as the shot outside of the street in The Seventh Continent. And here we have the woman reacting to it.
There's a package with the wheels inside, and they go on really easily.
And we see the slight offbeat with the child that's a little too big. There's too much space above the head and so on. That's just subtle filmmaking. And like in The Seventh Continent, something is breaking in this woman. And we can't really tell what it is. But it's something in this frame, I think.
Well, right.
Carol?
But it can be
You all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Carol?
What's going on?
I don't know. Carol?
Oh my God, Linda, what happened?
She can't breathe.
Eileen, call her house. Someone should call her doctor. And Jennifer, could you get some water, please? Just try to relax, okay? Calm down. It's okay. It's all gonna be fine. Just relax. Just relax.
Yeah, it's like being trapped in the 80s. And that's it. What do you think? Have you seen the movie?
If you're asking me, yes, I've seen Safe a couple of years ago, and this movie like left an impact on me. I'm so glad you chose this scene and this movie because it completely just slipped off of my mind. First of all, like Julianne Moore is an actress that she can depict like she acts in a way that is kind of very very her way, you know, she, in a certain way, the way she pronounces words and moves her mouth, it's so like her. And in this scene and in the entire movie, it feels so claustrophobic. It feels like you are having a very long panic attack in the worst way possible. The entire movie, it feels like you are like on the verge of like breaking down. And this is exactly what the director and the main character wanted to portray. So I love this movie. I remember after I saw it, I felt like I needed to like, I don't know, go on a vacation, breathe some air. You know, I needed some way to kind of just, you know, break out of it. And yeah, so great scene, great choice.
Yeah, so you reacted to this movie like the parents of Benny reacted to Benny murdering someone in Benny's video, taking a vacation. That's great. That's great. Okay, who's next? I think Tom. Do you have anything else even, or are we? Because I'm finished with my list. That's it.
I mean,
I'm finished too.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't you want to talk about angst and so on?
Oh yeah, I can tell you some of the movies that I wanted to choose, but I kind of chose only the 5. But after Tom says his last scene.
okay, yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, I only wrote 4 on my list because I couldn't think of which one I want to choose, but now I think it's only fitting since we have talked so much about kind of abstract and not really straightforward horror scenes or whatever. And because, of course, this is the Word of Podcast after all, I want to talk about a scene out of Man with a Movie Camera from Zika Vertov. And I hope I can find this moment very quickly, because this scene, or I should say this edit even, in a literal sense, has given me a kind of existential dread that I haven't really felt in another film. It's not like it didn't have like the most impact on me emotionally or whatever, but I did think it was very unique in that kind of dread that it conveys.
Yeah, I mean, that movie is an odd choice for this list. It's like an experimental Soviet documentary and so on. But I get it. In Safe, you are trapped in the 80s, and here you are trapped in cinema, in the film.
Right. It's basically this moment where we see these scenes of normal people and the forces of the city and whatever, and then the film pauses, and it shows us how those scenes are being edited. And this to me, I don't know, maybe it's another more abstract feeling, but this to me is scary, I don't know, or dreadful, or kind of tells me something about existence and that I can't put into words.
Yeah, Tom, that's awesome. I also cannot put it into words. So it's too bad that we are in a podcast episode right now. That's the trapping we are in. Julianne Moore is in the 80s. Those movies, those characters here on Man with a Movie Camera are in a movie that's edited, and we are in a podcast and cannot talk about an abstract thing, which I think it's a great irony. We have reached like 84 minutes, so I think we could come to an end if there's nothing more to say or whatever. I don't have anything else.
I mean, you can mention the films that you wanted to talk about briefly, maybe.
Okay, briefly.
I'm
just gonna mention.
I have always time
scenes, but I'm not gonna show.
I have always time for Angst and for Gerald Kagel. The director of Angst is living like 30 minutes away from us right now. So we have to talk about him and then send him this.
We're gonna go to his
I
house
hate
in
angst.
person and show him this clip of whatever you're about to say.
Okay, so angst, I literally didn't want to include it in this list because I was too anxious to see the movie again. Like, this movie is honestly the scariest thing I've ever seen. Not because there's imagery, it's just the way the main character moves and the way he twitches and the way he's just so mentally unstable. And I remember like this scene. Was the scene I was going to choose. The one where he puts the corpse in the car. Holy shit! Like, oh my god, the way he's shivering and twitching and he's sweating like crazy and his eyes are like literally gonna pop out of his face, and he's the way the corpse is like of course it's a corpse, so it's dead, it's lifeless, but it's just it starts to move in weird ways, like in a way that a non-human form, and it's just such a disgusting scene. It irritates me. It literally makes me too anxious. The first time I saw this movie, I felt like I've only seen it once, but like the time I saw the movie, I felt like I needed to kind of calm down after it. I couldn't just function normally. I felt like I was too anxious, and I was like the entire movie on edge to like kind of have an entire panic attack because of how irritating the main character felt. Like he felt so mentally just not okay.
Yes, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
It's a great
I love the movie. Incredible acting, incredible cinematography, music, even the screenplay, like the voiceover and so on in his head. That it's like playing over everything, even over like the action scenes and so on. But it makes it super disturbing, super offbeat. Couldn't agree more. Great movie. You should all watch it for Halloween. And with this, I think we can say happy Halloween to all of you. And yes, I don't know.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Happy Halloween.